Hello, chess friends. I'm back with the move of the day, and today's game is gonna be focused on Wesley So. So Wesley So, as you know, is in tremendous form. He's playing some excellent, beautiful chess, and so I thought it's good time to look at his game. So this was Wesley So playing against Karjakin in 2019. So Karjakin in this position was black, and he played knight to e5. Now I want you to pause the video and try to find the move, try to guess the move that Wesley So played. It was an incredibly brilliant move, spectacular move, and he really showed how to play attacking chess. So go ahead, pause the video, and try to find the move that So played. Alright, so I think most of you have already guessed it. Wesley So sacrificed his queen right over here for minimum amount of material. So knight takes e5, sacrificing the queen over here. Karjakin, of course, took the challenge. He took the queen. And now, as we know that black is anyway going to capture our knight, it's best that we sacrifice it for another pawn. So knight takes f7. And it was in this position that black played queen to e7. Well, what happens if he would have captured? This is definitely playable. But then white could play rook takes d1. And you can see the pawn on d6 is somewhat pinned. And the game can continue like something like rook to e6, protecting the pawn. And white can now play b3. There are ideas like bishop to a3, just eyeing the pawn, or simply bishop h3, attacking the rook. So white definitely has a lot of pressure over there, and that was the reason it was in this position that after knight takes f7, black played queen to e7. So white continued with knight takes d6, grabbing more pawns. C takes, again we have c takes d6, attacking the queen, queen takes the pawn. And finally we play rook takes d1, capturing the bishop back. And if you look at it, let's see, black plays queen to e5. If you look at it, how much material do white have for the queen? Well, we have two bishops. Well, bishop d2, rook d8, and yeah, let's look at it now. So white has two bishops over here, which is already excellent compensation. Also two extra pawns, so that is somewhat a uh, good enough compensation for queen. Apart from that, our king is pretty safe over here, and pardon me for that, our king is kind of safe over here. Also, we have the better pawn structure. We have a lot of solid pawn structure with us, and that is definitely to our benefit. The pawn on e4 is somewhat weakened and can become a target. So black in this position played b6. Now we just play b3, solidifying our pawn structure, creating a nice pawn chain. And you can see the knight on c3 is well protected from our bishop. So currently everything is going well. We are just consolidating our position. Now rook to d3. The thing is, we can't tolerate the rook. Now he would like to continue with something like rook over here, or simply capturing the knight if it's not protected. So definitely that's a threat. And white in this position captured the rook. Aren't we allowing black a passed pawn? We definitely are, but in fact the fact is the pawn on d3 will be extremely vulnerable to the white pieces. So here we go. Rook to d1 attacks the pawn. Rook to d8 defends the pawn. Now we have bishop f1 attacking the pawn twice. It can't move forward because then we'll simply capture it. So he plays queen to f5. Now what should white play? In fact, white, as I said, has an excellent position. He has a very solid and powerful position. Everything is well defended. A king is safe, and the bishops are the bishops. They are just too powerful, and once they get open files, they are going to be extremely dangerous. So white in this position played knight to d5. So Wesley So playing very brilliantly here. This was captured, and now a very strong intermediate move. Rook takes d3. The knight is pinned. The knight cannot move, and so he played king to f8. We took the knight. Now he played a5. What's the idea behind this? Why was a5 played? Let's have a look at what happens if he takes our pawn. If he would have captured our pawn, then we have the very strong move bishop to b4. Now, if he goes in the corner, for example, king g8, then we take the rook, and after takes we have bishop c4. This is what I was talking about, the monstrous bishops. They are too dangerous, and white will easily win the game over here. So he doesn't have to go to g8 or f7. He can also put his king on e8. Now we play e4. That's a double attack, a very powerful double attack. He has to do something. If he takes that pawn, then rook to e3 is winning. Otherwise, we're going to simply capture the rook, and that is completely winning. So That was the reason it was in this position that black played a5, just covering the b4 square, so not allowing white's bishop to enter on that square. But now white continued with a very strong move. Rook to d4, what a beautiful move. Wesley So playing very powerfully. The threat is now obviously rook to f4 with a pin over here and winning the queen. So he has to move his queen or the king. As you can see, one of the factors that gives white advantage here, I mean, if white has an advantage here, maybe the engines might not think as well, but for a human, this looks a very playable position. And I do feel like white has a very comfortable position here. I think one of the factors is the exposed black king. This always gives us a target, and our bishops are perfectly trained for that. So he has to move his king or queen. He plays queen to b1, moving the queen. Now all we need to do is solidify our position, consolidate it. So this bishop is attacked. Bishop to c3. Excellent. Queen takes a2. Now threatening this pawn. So white plays bishop to c4. This is an excellent move. Our bishops are perfectly placed. Everything is completely solid. And now something is going to happen. So queen to c2. We have rook f4 check. The king has to decide. Is he want to step here in the line of the bishop, or he want to go here? Well, he steps to the e7 square. Now we just take the pawn. That's a free pawn. And it was in this position that black, who was an extreme time control, Karjakin was an extreme time control, played rook to d6, and Wesley So finished the game in quite a style. First he played bishop to f8, that is winning the rook. So king goes here, but do we need to capture the rook, or do we have something, pardon me for that, do we have something even better than capturing the rook? In fact, we have something even stronger than that. So here we go, bishop to b5, that's a check. So there are x-rays, there are attacks from both the sides. If the king steps away from the rook, then we are going to simply win the rook for free. So he has to step over here, keeping touch with the rook, keeping protecting the rook. But now white has rook to c4, and that is game over. So that was the last move of the game, and this is where Wesley So won the game and Karjakin resigned. So what a spectacular game from Wesley So. I think this was beautiful attacking game. I especially love the way his rook and bishops coordinated, and look at his king. He didn't even move a single square. He was completely safe. So I thought this was a really cool game to show, especially when he's in such a great form. So hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel. More videos are on the way. Bye.